for Wicked Spursy.
Hey, this is Wicked Spursy, Mike, Steve, Brian from Rhode Island. How are you all on this lovely, lovely Sunday?
I've had worse Sundays, man. I'll tell you that.
Fair enough. It is February now. Mike, how does that make you feel?
Apparently the fucking groundhog saw his shadow, so I was hoping for a quick entrance to spring, but it doesn't seem that that's going to happen for us now because of the stupid ground. You know what? The official groundhog, Punxsutawney Phil, in Pennsylvania, is the one who saw his shadow. But our very own Puddin' Hill Pete made his entrance onto the scene too, and also predicted 6 more weeks.
This is Vermont's answer to Punxsutawney Phil?
Apparently he's been around for like a long time. I didn't even know.
Hearing of that, but you know what they say about groundhogs? They're all fake news media. You can't listen to a thing they say.
Nope, I wouldn't.
But you know what's not fake? Results this week.
Imagine.
Those were legit results, and I am very excited to talk about them. We get 2 very fascinating games, 2 very different games. We had our Europa League victory midweek, and then a, in my opinion, kind of surprising win away at Brentford today. Brian, why don't you get us started with our Swedish friends in Europe?
I mean, credit to them. I mean, they played tough. I mean, it was not it was not a walk. I mean, although I guess like nothing these days is really a walk for Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, but you think 7th in the Swedish league, they're fresh up. Mike and I talked about this on Thursday, but they're pretty fresh. It's the start of their season, and you would think even with that, they're 7th in the Swedish league. Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, even their B team should be able to stomp these guys. And they played tough. They played really tough. And I think we were pretty lucky to have such a wonderful youth academy so that we could carry the day. But man, is it, you can just tell. I mean, all of our consistent, to quote Decky Kulusevski, it's the same 9 or 10 guys every few days playing their hearts out, and you can just tell that they're gassed. We know this. We've said this many times on this pod, but seeing the fresh legs and kind of almost like it felt like there was innovation happening out there with the youngsters. I like it. They're also like adorably young and awkward, but the fact that we got 3 goals from 3 kids under 20 is pretty, or 20 and under, I guess I should say, is pretty wild.
Absolutely. And credit where it's due. Oftentimes they've had to wait their chances. Inch has been very vocal about not throwing them into the meat grinder and shattering their confidence right off the bat. So the fact that they were able to get in there and contribute in a positive way must be hugely uplifting. And we did see at least 2 of those guys who scored on Thursday play some part of today's game against Brentford. Mike, do you think that was talking mostly Dane Scarlett, a reward for picking up the goal? I know Mikey Moore's been contributing a little bit more, but I want to know your thoughts on Dane getting some more minutes today.
Look, yeah, I think it's a reward for that. I think it's also a tactical thing that Ange did. I mean, he had a choice of Lancashire. He had a choice of Dane Scarlett. Dane Scarlett's, for all intents and purposes, a longer tenured player, an older player. Even though it feels like he should have gotten a shot years ago, he still is only 20 years old. But Dane did score that goal, but I think it's probably something having to do with what Ange saw out there. And the tactical situation. I mean, Dane is a good finisher. He's going to be a guy who, if we happen to break down the box, he's going to put a good shot on goal. He's going to hold up in the box. He's a strong guy. He's good at running in from behind, and he finishes. I mean, that's all he really does. I mean, he's not a great passer of the ball. So his touch is a little iffy sometimes, but like if he gets his foot on the ball, I mean, he's going to score goals. It reminds me, and I'm not saying that this is going to happen, but a lot of people thought the same thing about Prince Harry of Kane as well. So, I mean, from his early days, and it took him some loans, right? It took him some loans. He was at Leicester. Where was he at? Was he at Dons as well? So I mean, it took Harry Kane some time. It's going to take Dane Scarlett at some time. I'm not saying that he's going to become the next Harry Kane, but like we needed someone who's going to press, who's going to bring energy onto the field, because Richarlison was out there and busted his ass today. Like, he gave everything. I was pretty impressed with Richarlison, other than the fact that, he's not a Brazilian when you think of Brazilian soccer players.
Absolutely.
He's not a footwork guy, That's all I'm saying. Even though he does like to do some kick-ups and gets hard tackled by Brennan Johnson.
Now, our other youngster who scored from Thursday got his start today as well. Over the last 2 appearances, Brian, what have you made of young Mikey Moore?
I think it's not really a Britishism, but it's like a British broadcasting Britishism. He's incisive. He just the kid is incredible. I think he was so good today. I know we were texting in our little group chat thing about, I think basically everybody was surprised that he got subbed off at halftime, and I don't know if that's like a minutes management thing for a kid whose body isn't even fully developed yet. Like, I have no idea, but regardless, I think he's been amazing. I mean, my only criticism of him is that if he had not hit the crossbar for what would have been the 4th goal against Manchester United, if he had just sunk that shot, I would have won $425. So I'm a little pissed at him still about that. But I'm sure he'll make it up for me at some point.
Brian from Rhode Island is a degenerate gambler. I know Hardly. Because I gamble with him.
Listen, that has to be a relative thing compared to the degenerate gambler that we have in common as a friend, and who is downstairs at my house right now. So he says he gives his regards to the show, but compared to him on that scale, I'm like a monk, But but seriously, the goal against Elfsborg, and I thought his general play today, I thought he was his passing was really crisp. He found people in miraculous positions multiple times. I thought was great. He presses hard. I think the Spurs after show guys after Elfsborg said that his youth manager said Mikey Moore is at his best when he's playing angry and aggressive. And I feel like we've seen that, like when he's really trying to take it to people and dribble and, kind of, if not at this stage, put the team on his shoulders. I feel like he's developing into the kind of player that's going to feel that way at some point. But I couldn't be I mean, Mike and I said on Thursday, the future of Tottenham Hotspur is very, very bright based on, current evidence. We just need to get through the season, maybe win a cup or 2 and not get relegated.
Yeah, the future is looking bright. I mean, we've witnessed a lot of our recruiting for the academy lately, and even beyond the academy, we're looking at some of these young, promising players. It does seem like things are bound to pay off in time. The problem right now is that we need an immediate solution, and we've got potentially an option there, which we'll talk about a little bit more later. But I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to our 3rd youngster who got on the score sheet from Thursday, and a pretty surprising one. I believe, watching that game, even the commentary team was expecting to see Callum Olysesi again. and we got Ajayi, who shows up and bags a goal. Mike, what did you make of that? The decision to play him over Olasesi and his contribution.
I think I think the decision, I don't think meant anything really other than the fact that we needed a player out there. Ange probably wants to get some guys on the field to see, what kind of mettle they have, right? So I mean, Olasesi got his opportunity in the previous match, and Ajayi got his opportunity, and he took the bull by the horns. Ajayi's more of a he's more of an attacking type style midfielder than say Olasesi is. But I like the way that Ajayi moves off the ball, and he showed that he can move amazingly on the ball too. And quite honestly, I might want to see him a little more in the future, depending on what kind of injury situations we're in. He showed the movement that you want to see out of Ange ball, right? Quick, incisive passes, quick movement off the ball to receive a pass after you've passed it yourself. He seems like he might be a prototypical Ange player. He looks like to me I said it on the reaction pod. I don't do a ton of watching. I try and watch, and because I love those youth players. But Wendy's the guy to break that kind of stuff down. But to me, he looks like we have a good future in both of those players, Olasesi and Ajayi. And I think I probably mentioned that stuff to you guys before. There's a lot of really, really, really good players in the youth system. And we know that because they have won their leagues in the past, right? In the past couple of years. So there are trophies at Tottenham Hotspur, and they come from the youth setup, which is the future of this club. Are you flipping me off, bro? I feel like he's flipping me off.
What?
I mean, honestly,
fuck this guy.
He's like, yeah. Let me get back to my turn. And you know what, Brian? I do have something for you. We're going to move on to Brentford, where surprisingly we had players returning from injury or exhaustion, fatigue, and didn't lose anybody. But with the return of Jed, I want to I phrased that deliberately. I hope you caught that. I want you to just talk a bit about his contribution returning to the starting 11.
Dude, I remember being so excited when this guy got signed, even though it was a club signing. Wasn't that the phrase that Conte used? And, I'm always excited when we sign someone new. I'm always going to watch the highlight reel, right? And I was team Ndombele for forever.
And
sorry,
dying.
Coughing off mic there.
That's unfortunate. I'm sorry.
Just
not your coughing.
I'm just saying. He seems like a guy that deserved a second chance. We took a second chance on him, made a commitment to him, signed him to a full contract. This feels like the Drew Holiday of Tottenham Hotspur is my boy Jade Spence. I couldn't be happier. And just the first of all, close down that entire side. Right. Nothing happened over there. So it's pace, it's cleverness, his predictive ability, just energy and aggression. They were Brentford forwards were avoiding him they were trying to play elsewhere so that they didn't have to try and come through him.
That's funny that you mentioned that too, because you remember Trey had put in the chat that Mbeumo was everywhere all at once, right? And he was. It was because he was getting pocketed by Jed.
Yeah.
Seriously. That's the high and low of it, man.
Yeah. No, I agree.
He had to move off the ball.
Exactly. I mean, and which is incredible because Mbomo is like a beast. He's so strong.
Oh my God.
And he like didn't want to fuck around with Spence. I was like, hell yes, this is great. And I didn't learn until the match today. I should be a better Tottenham Hotspur fan. I'm terribly sorry. I didn't know that this is not his natural side.
No, it is not.
He's competition for Porro, really. So Udogie comes back. That's a hell of a competition. That's like, talk about having squad depth at right back, right? If in any given competition you've got Porro and Spence, those are two guys I properly believe in for an incredibly important position.
And now you've triggered Mike into why didn't Jed get minutes on the right earlier in the season?
I think I called for it. I think I've been calling for it for 2 years now.
Hey, he's taken his
maybe even longer, because I used to freak out about the ITK when that 1 year he didn't get signed, and I thought he should have.
Mm-hmm. It's what's interesting to me will be whether he retains that same level of impact when we have a fully fit squad. Like, will Ange trust him enough to utilize him on the right when he has everybody available, or is he going to go back to being the just bench warmer, never sees the light of day again?
I honestly think, Steve, that I think he's earned his spot. The injury situation is unfortunate with Destiny. I think Destiny might be, a better 1v1 defender, but I think Jed is learning, and I think Ange has learned to trust him. But at the same time, I think Ange is learning that he's going to have to in the future be able to figure out a way to rotate the two of them so that they're not burning out, right? They're not picking up those injuries. And when you have a guy who is multifaceted as it seems he's, he is, maybe he's figuring out that he is better at left back than right back. I don't know. What do you think?
Personally, I think Andrew would be a fool not to rotate Porro and Jade moving forward. I almost said Jade just because I was looking at Brian. But you're absolutely right. I mean, Porro, when he is burnt out and exhausted, clearly is a fraction of the player. He's not like Decky, where even exhausted, he's still finding ways to contribute. Porro exhausted is almost like a liability.
Absolutely right.
And we noticed that particularly after Mikey Moore came off at halftime, and there was nobody to really help Porro out on that side anymore. Things started to get a lot more dicey over there. So absolutely, I think he needs to be in the mixer. I think he needs to be somebody who rotates in whether it's the league or cups or whatever. But we got to do a better job of managing minutes and players going into next season. I do want to call attention to a surprising statistic that I learned today, Mike, about our boy, literally boy, Archie Gray. Apparently, he has played at least 4 times at every position across the back line this season. Right back, left back, right center defense, left center defense. He is not a defender, by the way. Let's just reminder. Yeah. But yeah, today was his 4th appearance at right center back, and they had called attention. He's 18 years old and playing out of position consistently.
Also, I think this was his 81st professional start, which is absolute insanity for somebody who just turned 18. Also, that is exactly just the Porro analysis that you were just giving, which I mostly agree with. I think you can't talk about Porro without saying one thing that is really improved is he and Archie Gray are getting much more comfortable together. I think that he and Ramiro had a good partnership. I mean, they all partner really very well. That back line, our starting first back line, Porro, Ramiro, Van de Ven, Udogie are such a good partnership. I think that's why we kind of flew out of the gate, in a lot of respects. Last year, didn't have Van de Ven then, obviously, but even more so once we did. And I think that this is there by necessity. That right side and that left side are. This is starting to kind of stabilize as a injury hobbled kind of backline 2.0 a little bit in the last couple weeks. I think. I think visually they're playing together better, and it showed today. But Archie Gray just is a fucking stud. He was so good today as well. It just does everything that we need him to do, and he does it with such calm and confidence. And again, that predictive ability I think is really awesome. Like the number of things that he prevents from happening because he's just positioned really cleverly. I mean, he's like, what an asset. He's worth every dollar.
Yeah, and speaking of value, something that was kind of pissing me off today, and I'm wondering if you guys caught it. The comment.
How much the cost of eggs? Like, I mean.
Hey, look, we can focus on the cost of eggs when we.
I'm sorry. We're talking about football. Sorry.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, can't be getting into all the bullshit going on around us.
It's not. Yeah, we're not ready for chicken to bring Chicken Little quite yet.
Let's keep focused. But no, I was getting pretty irritated. The announcers, it seems lately, want to be painting Kinski as a liability in goal. I don't know if you guys caught that, but they were very critical of him throughout the game. I didn't think he had any significant errors. There was one moment I can remember where, Bissouma passed it to him and he tried passing it back and Bissouma just let it run.
And
it was, it's the leftover from the Arsenal match. I mean, that's really all it is.
I agree.
It's irritating.
I don't think you have to read too much into it. These guys who announce these games, save for a few, like don't watch Tottenham. They don't watch and they don't do research before they go in. Well, they have fair. They have like a little bit of a one sheet and that tells them some stats, and then and they'll just spout them off during the game, and then they'll talk about how Tottenham has lost 4 in a row and blah 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 blah. It just seems to me to be a little bit of nonsense coming from these guys, and I don't put any credence into it. It's not like Major League Baseball. I think Major League Baseball kind of does it really well, where they have some nationally televised games, some games that are broadcast worldwide as well. But I think Major League Baseball does it well with allowing local and regional broadcasts, for their games. Granted, there are a lot more of them, and it's easier to do it that way, but that way you kind of get a little bit of bias. But like with these guys who come in, and it's like, oh, you've been assigned to Tottenham, you have 4 days to do some research, and they do the least amount of research they can. They just want to go out there and do their game. I don't necessarily blame them, but I mean, if you're not doing your job, then get fucked.
Yeah, and while we're on the get fucked train, did anybody else catch Jamie Carragher just like, Tottenham's gonna lose this game, and then at halftime when we were up, he's like, they're definitely gonna lose this game, and then we won it. It's like, yeah, fuck you, Jamie Carragher, you piece of shit.
I kind of like Jamie Carragher.
I reluctantly like Jamie Carragher.
In this one instance,
I think he's funny. I think he's fucking funny.
It was nice to be able.
He's also self-aware, which is nice.
Who?
I'd like to see more of Keane, but that's just me.
You know what? I'm gonna keep this trend going of people who should fuck off. You guys catch the news coming out of Leyton Orient this week?
Oh no, I did not.
Oh, it was Leyton. It wasn't Don's. It wasn't. It was Decky or Delhi came from Don's.
Yep. Leyton Orient. So
Harry Kane, Leyton Orient.
Following a loss, their manager made some comment like, well, I'm not going to make excuses like Ange Postecoglou. And somebody must have told him like, hey, you do realize your 2 best players are on loan from Spurs, because he had to come out and eat some humble pie and apologize.
Yeah. And by the way, we're recalling our players.
Yeah, right. Like, hey, go fuck yourself. We'll take
good luck staying up now.
Yeah, it's all fun and games till you don't have a fucking starting 11.
It's just
trust us, we know.
It's one of those things, right? I feel like Tottenham Hotspur, whether it's the players, the management, the coaches, it's like an easy target. People want to deflect away from their own bullshit, so they. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, yeah, well, at least I'm not Ange. It's like, well, Ange won his games this week. What did you do, Leyton Orient, huh? By the way, we'll see Jamie Donnelly back. Good luck next season. fuck you. Anybody else we want to give a big fuck you to this week?
I mean,
Yeah, there are, but we don't need to talk about it here.
Well, the obvious ones, the entire club and every supporter of Arsenal Football Club. But that's
hey, the rapist scored today.
Everybody scored today.
Fair enough. We can give a big fuck you to the congressional Republicans, the President of the United States.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm getting away from soccer again.
No. Guess what? I just want to reiterate that it was Tottenham Hotspur that broke Man City. 2 consecutive losses to Tottenham Hotspur broke Man City. I just want everybody to remember back to like October, and 2 consecutive losses in a week to Tottenham Hotspur broke Man City, and now Man City sits 6th, which we're sitting we're looking into being 15th. We're 14th right now. We're looking into being 15th after the match between West Ham and whomever they're playing.
Some useless assholes.
Yeah. The blue team.
It's I like to, in my head, I like to think about, there's some like, Steve, this is your field really, but some data scientist who's gonna like look like at every frame of video from that game in October to mount like the kind of quantitative examination of how Tottenham Hotspur actually literally broke Manchester City like in that game, and how they've never been the same.
Steve will do that. I mean, that's his actual calling in life. He's done that with the Zapruder film. He's done it with.
I'm looking forward to our next encounter with Manchester City coming up at the end of the month, I believe, or thereabouts, plus or minus a couple of weeks. I really just want
at home.
I really want Ange to look at Pep right in his eyes and just go, "I must break you, mate." Just smack his hands down.
He does have a little bit of like Kingpin from Daredevil energy, Ange.
Yeah.
Can't you kind of get that vibe a little? Like I could see Ange like doing the doing a little intimidation act.
Don't let anybody know that we're comic book nerds.
Listen, we're nerds on lots of topics. I think that ship has sailed. It's
I've got Dungeons and Dragons right after this, so. But yeah, I could see that.
Listen, just on all of this, come back to the actual football. The question I most want to ask you, and I feel like this is a good time, is because Steve, you are my tactics sensei and always have been. You're talking about the commentary. Ange never changes, like whatever. Did like the way that we kind of lined up and the way that we played against Elfsborg and against Brentford, did that represent like a quantifiable or qualifiable tactical change? Like, I mean, because they were like the who is it? The two, what's their names on NBC? Anyway, the halftime commentary. The two Robbies. Yeah, one of the Robbies was saying about how at the end of the match, well, yeah, like the second goal really was Tottenham were playing back. They weren't playing as much of a high line, and then they countered, right? Which is like different than standard Ange ball protocol. So like I still thought we were playing pretty aggressively up high in every area. It didn't seem like a total shift in strategy, nor did Elfsborg, but I just, I yield to you. What did you see from a tactical standpoint? I guess would be my question.
From a tactical standpoint, honestly, I think that he's been making these micro tweaks all throughout the season. People say, "Oh, he doesn't change his tactics," and broadly, sure, right? He still wants to play the same, free-flowing attacking game, but squad selection, what players he's relying on at any given time. Those are all tactical adjustments that need to be made. They're not, "Oh, let's just park the bus. We're up 2 goals. Let's just sit back and put everybody behind." We're still going to play the same. We're going to attack. We're going to attack. We're going to attack. But the means of doing so constantly changes depending on the personnel out there. And I think you notice that the best example I can think of is today, right? Mikey Moore comes off at halftime. Decky has to move out onto that right-hand side. It's a much different approach to the game than just Decky through the middle, Mikey Moore, or anybody else really outright. We're still approaching the game the same way, right? But how we go about doing that has changed. And I think that gets lost a lot in translation because people just see the formation, they see what he wants to do, and they think he can't make anything different happen. But the way that he's got players playing, the way that he puts certain emphasis out there, it's all done with intention. It's all done to help out the defense if we've got a deficiency, or
can I mention something?
Ahead, Mike.
I just want to talk a little bit about how we here on Wicked Spursy have called out Pape Matar Sarr for being mostly shit recently, and out of nowhere he pulls off a pretty nice substitution appearance today,
goal. And he played great.
Beautiful goal, beautifully played. Like he's like, I'm gonna fucking prove you wrong, hey Mike, and then and he just sprints into fucking space and receives the ball and just nutmegs that keeper who, I think was a little bit nervous that he just showed up there. I don't know. He tried to come out and play the ball, and the second that he moved his leg, it was just like boom.
I think he twitched a little. I think thinking that Sarr was going to try and chip it, right? Which I thought was clever on Sarr's part, because that I think in that situation that would have been keeper rushing out at you. That would have been like a logical thing to do, is to try. And so
put it onto his right
foot, a little bit of a chip, and then he saw that he was actually going to go low, and I think Sarr played that perfectly.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to cut you.
Dude,
I didn't mean to cut you.
Is it possible maybe that our guy who has played the second or third most minutes of the entire season might be a little bit gassed? And turns out a half a match off made him look a little more sprightly.
You mean
is it possible?
Players is beneficial? Imagine that. If only we had the luxury.
We will soon. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, we will. But while we're on the subject of luxury, I do want to ask, hey, Mike, what you drinking?
You had to do that right when I was in the middle of a sip.
You're goddamn right I did.
So I'm drinking the well-known, aforementioned Sea of Stars. We did not mention it previously. Before we came on, I'm drinking the Sea of Stars, which was we did a couple of weeks ago. The Harry Kane of beers.
Oh, right.
That's what I'm drinking currently. I think that runs at like 8%. No, that's the Tilted Barn one from Rhode Island, where Brian from Rhode Island wasn't with us.
I know, Steve. I wasn't on there, but I loved your commentary on the spreadsheet. Which this beer is fucking good. Way to go, Rhode Island.
I'll happen to mention that Steve was that the night that Steve? No, it was not the night that Steve was under the influence. That's okay. Moving on.
Wait, is there a night when Steve is not under the influence?
He's got to focus on being a fucking druid elf tonight, so he can't get too hammered. So or whatever the fuck he is.
Actually, a satyr tonight, so don't you look stupid.
I think our friend Jason Weed from Vermont Spurs is isn't he a plumber?
I don't know what the fuck he is.
I think his job is a plumber in his the campaign. You nerds talking.
Is his name actually Jason Weed, or is
that's his name?
He's okay. He doesn't just smoke a lot, so
he legitimately can't put that. He legitimately can't put that his last name on his social media.
Oh, because that makes sense.
Like,
anyway,
okay.
We're gonna take some fucking chances here. The last time remember when I did the Bourbon County beer, and it was like over 10%, and I got really fucking hammered in minutes.
I actually vaguely do remember this. This is the pre-spreadsheet era, the PSC.
Yeah, way pre-spreadsheet. But I have had this beer before, but not this type of beer. This beer is Ommegang. They make Belgian ales. They make only Belgian ales. They don't fuck around.
Steve is going to drive the spreadsheet, just for the record.
They don't fuck around with. They don't fuck around with the double IPAs, the hazy double IPAs, all that nonsense. They don't mess around with that at all. So what we have here tonight is quadruple ale. So it's Omegang's Three Philosophers, which is for a lot of people, it's like a bucket list beer. So I've had Three Philosophers before. What I've not had though is Three Philosophers quadruple ale on nitro. So this is a nitro.
And did you say it was 10%?
9.7.
Damn good.
Um,
I'm like, what is this wine I'm drinking?
Same. Oh, you have
No,
the
no.
Josh. Yeah.
No,
Which one?
yeah,
Is it the Cabernet?
It's 13.5. Yeah.
Is it the Cabernet?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah,
Well,
that's a good one.
I've got Coors
Steve's-
Banquet.
Steve just settles into the
Banquet beer.
cube of Coors Banquet beers. So quadruple ales, they're simply like called quads. They're like a Belgian strong ale. They're usually dark. They're rich, amber colored. They usually have like a nice fruitiness to them. They have that yeasty quality you get from the farmhousey quality you get from French and Belgian beers. They're usually like super sweet and super like full bodied ales. This beer is on nitro. I didn't get like, it's not like there's a thing in there like a popper like the Guinness has or anything. So we'll see how this is. Like nitro ales are generally like super creamy. Oh yeah, wow. Oh yeah, well it's doing it. It's doing the reverse waterfall thing that Guinness does. So it's pouring right over the top of the. Look at that.
Defying gravity.
Oh, it's lovely.
Wait, am I allowed to say that, or am I going to get sued?
No, I mean,
Wicked.
Wicked.
that movie's legit, by the way.
Doubles, triples, quadruples, typically ascending ABVs on them. They're not super hoppy ever.
Sextuples?
I don't know if they make sextuples, but you like to say sex, so
let's talk about sex.
So it does the cascading thing like we talk about, the reverse waterfall thing. It's pretty, like I said, mahogany colored brown. Should have a smooth mouthfeel. Smells like cherries. Like, I don't know if that means anything for you guys, but it's the Belgian beers are verging on like our American sours, right? They use the same type of yeasts. So let's just get into this beer and see what we get. Like, I'm not a big fan of Belgian and French beers. I think I've made that known before. I like a lambic every once in a while. That's fine. The fruity kind of beers, but I also have my Omegang glass that I'm using. You can't see because the beer's so dark, but
the fruity beers. That seems a little bit off. I know Trump's in the office, but like, should we maybe curtail our language? He's trying not to give anything away.
I know.
But it also got stuck on his mustache. I must ask you to.
This beer is boozy. This beer is boozy as fuck. Getting a lot of cherries, chocolatey, caramel, like cloves almost. Like it's spicy. It's good, dude. It is better than the Three Philosophers, and Three Philosophers is, like I said, a bucket list beer for people. It's one of the best beers in the world. We are the Three Philosophers tonight, aren't we?
Hey.
Ew.
Every night, not just tonight.
This beer is conditioned on cherries, so obviously it should have that cherry taste. This is not a beer like I just pounded this beer. I mean, it's a sipping beer. It's a fireside chat type of beer. Man, it's smooth. It is smooth. It is silky. I don't know how else. This beer is really good. This beer is really, really fucking good. I'm not going to have more than one tonight because I will be on the floor and I have children to take care of and dinner to cook. So, I don't know if you guys are ready.
I think we're ready.
Have you put in your guesses?
The guesses are in.
The guesses are in.
I got burned last time, so I went low, Steve.
Yeah, I get it.
So I think you're gonna win, though. I have this feeling you're gonna win.
We'll see.
Why do you feel this?
Well, you don't know what the guesses are.
No, I understand. Oh, you already know. Okay. So
Yeah,
you guys
we entered them into the spreadsheet at like the same time today.
Yeah, we're all about the spreadsheet here.
Okay. This beer for me is a 4.7.
Whoa!
Whoa! You just blew the Harry Kane of beers out of the water.
Not out of the water. I mean, but that was what, a 4.6, right?
Yeah.
This beer. I just had one of the Sea of Stars beer. This beer is fucking good, man.
Damn.
You just completely destroyed us.
But by the way, this is tied for second highest in the history of the spreadsheet with the Zero Gravity 40 Thieves. Just for our listening audiences.
That beer is really fucking good. Steve can attest to that. I think he has.
It is a very good beer, the 40 Thieves.
Yeah. This beer is silky. This beer is delicious. This beer is everything that it promises to be. So, and we're not going to give this a Bentancur as a player because I know we call him Silky Puddin', but
it wasn't today.
No, this beer for me is the Gareth Bale of beers.
Ooh, all right.
Wow.
High praise.
It's gonna get you drunk real fast. If that
It'll
means
get you
you.
drunk.
It's the Samuel Adams, the Samuel Jackson of beers.
They deserve to die, and I hope they burn in hell.
So, Nostrovia, Slancha, and cheers.
Excellent.
Cheers.
For the record, Steve's guess was
3.9,
and mine was 3.7. So
you guys were way the fuck off, and I fooled you.
Well, you were talking so positively about your what was it? The Lovers Rock Foam Brewing Coffee Porter, and I guessed 4.4. And you said
I can tell you,
and it was 3.95. I just was like, I don't even know what to think anymore.
I can tell you, Fred, I did a re-listen to that, and I didn't say it was really fucking good. I said this beer is really good.
I think you said wicked good.
Wicked
good.
So,
hey,
nicely done.
Yeah, so this has been Hey Mike, and fuck you for misleading us like that. Oh wait, we've already left that segment. I guess we can move on to some more celebration. We signed an outfield player.
Steve, tell me how you feel about this because I told our listeners on Blue Sky that like you had some specific things you wanted to talk about. Tell me how you feel about signing an outfield player.
I don't know that I can do exactly that without getting us like an NC-17 rating on this, but suffice to say, I am very pleased. Having it not only be a center back, which is a position that we desperately needed, particularly after Dragusin went down for potentially a season-ending injury. We won't know for certain until I think tomorrow. We said I guess Andrew was saying they're going to a specialist, but anyway, Danso, he was last season or 2 seasons ago the best defender in France in the French league. He kind of
defending against what? Defending against goats and sheep?
Yeah, something like that. But
that's a Farmers League joke for anybody who doesn't know.
But yeah, he's a player.
Any country but France, there's probably an off-color joke to be made. But anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Lots of potential there. And it sounds like he's got the characteristics to suit Ange Ball. when he's being described as quick, that works.
He described himself as quick.
Ange described him as quick.
Okay, not fast.
Look,
he's not fast.
We'll have to see how it turns out when he gets some game time. But look, there are much worse options. Frankly, going after that fucking nothing from Chelsea boggles the mind because, and I think
Disasi?
Yeah,
I think
that's a player who is generally across social media accepted to be not even worth it. Like even as a body on the field, not worth it. So I'm collectively with the rest of social media hoping that he rejects Spurs because I do not like him at all. Danso I like. I think he could be a really solid addition, particularly as a rotation player. But yeah, that no Chelsea reject, please.
I don't think he's so okay. So let's talk about Danso because he's a guy who's been announced. We'll talk about Disasi in a second. So first of all, we needed center backs, right? We need to not have to use Mikey Moore or not Mikey Moore. Sorry, Archie Gray in the center back position.
We would be in a rough shape if we're like, hey, Mikey, listen,
we need you playing center back. Archie. So we don't want to have to use Archie. We want to put Archie in like his given position, right? Let him do his thing in the midfield. But with somebody like Danso,
it's the mama movement.
Danso,
make Archie
in my
again.
ultimate wisdom and my breakdown of tactical goodness for Ange Ball, I think Disasi is a better fit, and I'm probably fucking wrong, but
he's garbage.
They're both tall. So they're both 6'2", 6'3" ish. They're both great in the air. I think Danso is not necessarily quick, but what he does bring to Ange Ball is that he's good with the ball at his feet, right? And I always say this, like I stress this about Tottenham Hotspur and Ange Ball, and like you have to have players who are confident under pressure, especially when you have in your back line, in your midfielders, you have to have guys that are confident with the ball at their feet, that are good passers. And we know that Radu, it just isn't that guy. Radu is a guy who defends in the box and does that well. And he's just not fit for our squad. But like when you have somebody who's like Danso, who's proven to be a good 1v1 defender, he's proven to be a great in the air, which is going to be awesome for set pieces and corner kicks for us, defending those and attacking on corners and set pieces as well. When you have guys that are that big and 190 to 200 pounds, like these are serious players, and they don't fuck around. I think Danso is going to probably be the guy who's going to come in and do the job first. Disasi is going to be a guy who we're not going to, if we get him, he's not necessarily, and I don't think he's necessarily a Chelsea reject. What I do think is that he is a victim of Chelsea having 45 fucking guys in their dressing room. Because he came from Villa, right, before he went to Chelsea. Like he was part of that rebuild in Villa, so obviously Johan Longa probably loves him. And I think that like both of these guys are big guys. They're great in the air, and I think that's kind of like, and they're going to put pressure on guys like Romero, and especially when we're going to sell Romero for like $100 million in the next year or so. So,
well, screw you, Mike, because you took basically every point that I was going to make. But I think the one thing I was struck by is basically that
a smooth criminal.
Per FBref.com, kind of the Bible for the nerdy stat guys among us. They are both in the 95th plus percentile among European European backs in progressive passes. So like, anyway, I know, like, Danso's technically considered a, no, sorry. Yeah,
well, Danso's played a
center backs.
number of positions. He also plays midfield.
Yeah. But I think that's it. So it seems like Danso is in 99th percentile in Europe for shot blockers, that speaks to athleticism, to timing, to positioning, that kind of thing. And that certainly would not go amiss. I don't know about either of their speed because I just don't know either of these players terribly well. But he was my brief search history today led me to a couple of tweets from some British football journalists who said that he was quite speedy. So, hey, they probably know slightly more than we do, but maybe not. Honestly, if we got both of them, I mean, Danso's done. I mean, he's on TottenhamHotspur.com. You can buy his jersey now. So, I mean, I'm just happy for like rotation at that spot. What is it? Is it noon London time tomorrow? Is the transfer?
I honestly think it's like either noon or 10 a.m. So it's something weird. No, I think it's 5 p.m. their time, but it ends up being like
noon our time?
10 or 11 p.m. our time.
Gotcha. I just don't you have this is stupid podcasting. I apologize. This is based on nothing, but I have this feeling.
Much of this podcast is based on nothing.
I have this feeling that there is one more card to play, and that there's somebody who is on no journalist radar, who is like who's going to be an attacking player that we're going to get at the deadline. I just think it's going to happen.
0 hour.
I mean, the fact that we were already committed to what, $50 million, $60 million for Tell is, telling. But I mean, that's a good thing. I mean, that's not the only arrow in the quiver, I don't think. That's not how Johan Long operates. It's not how Paratici operates, but I feel like also Paratici would have been a lot more vocal about the people that Tottenham were. He would have leaked to the press his final targets if there were ones.
Paratici?
And I also read that Paratici's his consulting is focused on scouting the major leagues for the summer, and that's been the plan since the fall. So who knows?
I still love that guy. I don't give a shit if he's a criminal.
Dude, he's a genius.
Yep.
I'm here for him.
Yep.
I think we're all here for him. I just miss the days of like knowing what the fuck was going on behind the scenes. Now it's like, are we gonna fucking sign somebody or what? God damn.
Well, Longa's that's one thing that he's done is button everything up.
Yep. And talk about the two people most responsible for scouting, recruiting, and signing new players could not be more polar opposite in their styles.
Very true.
I got to tell you guys that the back of this can of beer says to ponder the profound, and which is what we've been doing for the better part of an hour now.
Ponder the profound, huh? Well, I've got a profound statement. All we are is dust in the wind.
You're my boy, Blue.
I think I might have stolen that from somebody. I don't
Kansas.
Sorry, I got invaded by a 4-year-old and a 3-year-old just there, so my apologies.
You were just in Kansas, weren't you? Did I steal that from Kansas?
You're my boy, Blue.
Dust in the wind.
Dust in the wind. No, they wave the wheat when they win a game. Kansas.
Do you? Yeah, but they didn't win yesterday. So Dust in the wind. I think we're talking about the band Kansas versus the state.
Oh,
how are they not one and the same? I'm convinced they're the same thing. Kansas, the state, is a musical act.
Yeah, mostly in churches, but
just
yeah,
like
sure.
Oklahoma, the state, is a musical.
Although I have seen a self-proclaimed lesbian vegan punk metal band in Lawrence, Kansas, and I was like, this just when you read the description, you're like, well, shit, I gotta go see that show. That's gonna be something interesting. And they shredded. They're actually really good.
I believe it. I could go on a rant about veganism in particular. I just have a very particular, like, if you're gonna call something something, it needs to be that thing, right? So like all this, oh, it's mac and cheese, but it's vegan, then it's not fucking mac and cheese now, is it? Cheese inherently is not vegan.
It's like oat milk. Yeah, it's like oat milk, right? Yeah,
it drives me up a fucking. It's like it just grates on me. Like there's some vegan food that is fantastic.
If it has the appearance of milk, they call it milk, right? I mean,
yeah. But you know what? On a completely non-vegan related note, I did have I encouraged a friend to try burrata yesterday.
Oh hell yeah!
Well, burrata is.
Burrata is incredible.
Yeah, of course it is.
But I mean, it's like what Benjamin Franklin said about beer, right? Beer is proof that God loves us and wants us to be happy. That's basically how I feel about burrata.
It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. So listeners, if you're out there and you're like, man, I really want to try something new. I want something that's cheesy, creamy, delicious. Get some fucking burrata. You don't even have to do anything.
Dip a Triscuit in it,
folks.
Dip a Triscuit in it. It's good on a Triscuit.
It's good on anything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is getting away from us, so maybe we should go into our final thoughts here. We've got a couple of cut games.
Yeah, it's the 8% beer and the 10% beer that I've just had. So,
and maybe the 13.5% wine.
Yeah. Well, yes, my wife is upstairs right now. Hopefully, doing a great job on the vodka sauce.
Nice.
So
emphasis on the vodka.
Well, the thing is that like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Is like she like is a master baker. She bakes things. She's great at baking, confections and stuff. But guess what? She cannot cook for shit. I love you, Amy, but you cannot cook for shit. She refuses to follow recipes. So I gave her my basic recipe for my adopted Nona's vodka sauce, and I can tell you that this is a fucking foolproof vodka sauce. So hopefully it looks good, and I will send you guys pictures later. But I made two beautiful loaves of sourdough bread this morning to go with it. So
Mike, I'm something of a master baker myself.
God damn it! I walked right into that one. Okay, so this is Broken Spursy.
That was a landmine that you tap danced on right there. Well done.
I couldn't keep it in.
All right.
Now, before we all get canceled, just quickly, how in as few words as humanly possible, we've got Liverpool, we've got Aston Villa, 2 separate cup competitions this week. Brian, what are you feeling?
On the mic.
For the first time this season, less than unrestrained optimism about an important match. I think it's one of those things. I think the resting of Mickey Van de Ven today, like not even on the roster, I think was intentional and important because I think just thinking about both of those matches, the whole club is probably thinking about both those matches. I think it's literally going to be like everyone has to step up. I'm really glad that we're going into those 2 matches with 2 wins and the wind at our back. 2 important wins, one in Europe, one in the league. It's a lot better than hobbling in, having, lost the last God knows how many matches in a row. So the momentum is with us, and I think the mentality probably will be too. And I'm going to be cautiously optimistic. I think if everybody steps up, everybody that we know can be healthy is healthy, I think we've got a real chance. And also my boy Jade Spence is going to shut down Mo Salah. So suck it, Mo. Go to Saudi Arabia. Who cares? You can't score in this league as long as Jade Spence is in it. So
I think he's proved you wrong yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I honestly, weirdly, I can't. We just don't know who's going to be playing for these teams. So it's going to be interesting to see on both sides who ends up being in the actual squads.
Yeah, look, it's all hands on deck. It's all hands on deck for both games, for both squads, for both games. You know what? Tottenham Hotspur needs to improve its standing in the league. Tottenham Hotspur needs to move into a final, a Carabao Cup final, because you know what? Right now, we do care about the Carabao Cup because we're looking at finishing, if we're lucky, getting to maybe 11th place. You know, there is that shit. But like, honestly, you know what? Nicky Winks is texting me right now, and not on this podcast that I invited him to. 3 of them in a row.
He exists. I don't think he exists. I
God damn it!
With him to get his procedure done, his man.
You went with him?
Yeah.
Did you hold his hand? All right, we're not going to get into this right now. This is fucking weird.
I rode Nicky Winks. Wait, no, that's not phrasing.
Oh, man.
Anyway,
going for it.
As far as I'm concerned, if we win, great. If we lose, I'm not too bothered by it because it just means 2 fewer games.
There we go.
I am going into this week with the mindset that we will lose both games. So anything that happens contrary to that will be a pleasant surprise.
I think we lose. I think we lose Liverpool 2-1. We go into penalties and move on.
Wait, isn't that the wait, if we're tied, don't we have to play a whole nother match? Isn't that the FA Cup rule?
No. We go to penalties.
No. Okay.
We go to 174 minutes and then 133,000 minutes and then they get to do penalties.
Great. Honestly, my ideal score is we win 3-2.
There we go.
Against Liverpool in a kind of a grudge, like a bloody knuckles kind of match.
There we go.
Not even involving Romero. And then Aston Villa, I think, will feel like a relief after that. And I think we kind of have Aston Villa's number to a certain extent. I think we match up well against them. So we shall see.
So
we shall see.
There we go. Well, you know what? If Dave were here today, Steve, he would ask you a specific question. And that question is, what do you have to say to our listeners?
Coys.
And
don't be an asshole. And if the situation were reversed and Dave were here, he would say something to you, and that something would be, Mike.
You know what, guys? It's really, really crazy out there. Don't get into your social media. Don't do any stupid shit. I want you to go out there, be safe, and protect your mental health.
And
Tottenham Hotspur action. It's fantastic.
I wish I had a tagline.
All right, Steve, go be a nerd. Brian, bring me to Trey.
Yes, recording is
I got to take you downstairs.
I mean, are you on a computer? Are you on a laptop?
I guess it has to keep uploading anyway.
Yeah.
I'm only at.
I don't understand what's going on. Like,